Hey, we got our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise going out November 29th, where we're stopping at Nassau, Cook, Bahamas, Coco Cay, and Falmouth, Jamaica. This is going to be one cruise to remember. Why? Because it's our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise, where we have our own leather and lace karaoke contest. You guys come on. You don't have to be a biker to go. You don't need to wear leather and lace to be a part of the cruise. Just come have some fun with us this holiday season. Also, we have a great duo show going on called the Dooley Brothers Entertainment. That's me and my brother from Tomorrow's People. We're going to be rocking the house for you at a private concert just for you guys. We got a miniature golf tournament going on. So, folks, come join the fun. We got prices starting at $747 per person. That is just $747 per person for a 7-day beautiful cruise. Pick up the phone, get your rooms booked. Call 920-265-8143. That's Jerry B. That's me, 920-265-8143. And come, we'll see you at sea, y'all. Hey, folks, what's up? And welcome to another Tuesday episode of Respect the Talk. We had my nephew in the house for 2 seconds. Oh my God, then he disappeared. I can't believe he did that to me, but that's okay. He'll be back and we'll get him back up here again. But hey, we want to welcome you guys on this Tuesday to Respect the Talk. There's a lot of rain coming in some of these areas down here in Florida. But I tell you, it's just been hot. It's like hot all over the country. And that's what everybody's talking about, how hot it is all over the country. They're still talking about it. And I don't know what the temperature is like up there by my nephew. I'm waiting on him to come back in here. And we'll see where he's at to get him in here and join in with the convo. But hey, you guys, I hope you guys had a great day and get ready for the 4th of July. It's going to be a great one. So I do ask you guys to be safe out there. Whatever you do, please be safe. We got a great conversation today, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, the 4th of July, celebrating America 250. And it is starting to sound a little bit on the wild side, the way this is going and setting up and all that other fun stuff. But we'll talk about that. Like I said, we'll get with you guys and talk about that. As soon as my nephew get back in here, we'll get on that scene. But let's get into the intro here for you folks, just so I can acknowledge why he's doing that. And you guys already know what time it is. We want to welcome you back to Respect to Talk. If you're just now tapping in, don't be the quiet one in the corner. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share. Share this with somebody who actually likes real conversations. We don't do the watered down version over here. We don't do that crap, y'all. We say whatever's on the mind. Every week we're breaking down life, culture, politics, relationships, everything people are actually dealing with, but don't always say out loud. So lock in with us, because if you're here, you're part of the conversation. So we're going to get jumping into this in a few minutes. But hopefully, like I said, my nephew come up in here. But, here's what we got going on today here, folks. We got a lot to unpack today. We're talking about relationships and something people don't say enough out loud. How decisions you make alone can quietly shape somebody else's whole life. Then we shift into something that's been on a lot of people's minds. Young people stepping into politics. Finally getting involved in shaping what comes next. And of course, we're not shying away from the big stuff either, y'all. America, identity, immigration, Supreme Court rulings, and the way all of this ties into how we see this country heading into the next chapter. In one of these episodes, where you're going to agree or disagree, maybe pause it for a few times, but that's the point. Let's get into it, you guys, and my nephew. Hopefully, we can get him back here. So we'll be right back.
Welcome to Respect the Talk with Jerry B.
Respect the talk. Respect the talk. Respect the talk.
All right, there we're back, and my nephew's still trying to work on his connection, folks. We got technical difficulties here on this end. Hopefully, he'll get back in here real soon, and don't miss out on the whole show. I tell you, that's what happens with technical stuff. It gets really real some days. But it is what happens. So I mean, especially when you're dealing with all kind of fun stuff. So hey, let's talk about some other stuff here, folks. We're going to talk about couples' decisions and causes and effects, because this is something that's been really, really getting to me. I thought about this weekend, and it's just like, oh my God, I got it. And you know what happened? I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning when I thought about this. So um, it just threw me for a loop early in the morning, and I had to actually post it. So it was just something just really, really crazy that just hit me really hard. So let's just figure this out. Let me talk to you folks for a minute. Okay, let's talk real talk here. You ever sit back and really think about how many decisions you make in a day without even checking in with the person next to you? This is seriously, folks. This is serious business. I did this weekend. Woke me up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I looked over at my wife, and I started thinking just about this kind of conversation. Because when you love somebody that much, that's what you do. You start thinking, am I making those right decisions for the both of our benefit in life? So, and I'm talking about your partner, your family, your ride or die, whoever else is tied into yours. Because here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. Every single decision has a ripple. Every decision. I don't care what you do. Every decision has a ripple. Every action hits something or somebody. Even the small stuff. Even the small stuff. And the real question is, have you ever stopped and asked yourself, yeah, this might be a good decision, but is it the right decision? And those are the things that you got to ask yourself. Is it the right decision? You know, um, I mean, because here's the thing: every single decision, like I said, is a ripple one. Every action hits somebody, whatever, even the small stuff. But okay, we go through life making calls. 'Cause this is where it gets tricky. We go through life making calls, making fast, trying to survive, trying to provide, and a lot of times we don't realize the effect until it hits. Until it already changes something. Then you're sitting there like, damn, I didn't see that coming. But that's life though, right? It's life, right? It is. Stressful part is, especially when you're building a family or trying to hold everything together, you don't really get to a trial run. You don't get it to tested outcome. I mean, we're talking about families here. You don't get to try these things. A lot of times when it just affects you, it's no big deal, but it's going to affect somebody else. And maybe that's the hardest truth. Most people aren't thinking about the cause and effect in real time. They're just moving. They're just moving. So take a second, really take a second. What about to do next? What does it touch? How does it help? What does it hurt? Good or bad? Okay. And if you feel like you don't want to make another decision, well, that's not really an option either. Like Frank Sinatra said, it's in that's life. That's just life. But still, it's worth thinking about. Hey, we got my nephew James back on the mic, man. I missed you, bro. Come on up in here. Hey, did you read the script today?
Running by some technical difficulties
That's
there,
what that's what I told him. We had some technical
like you
difficulties.
said, that's life.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people in here, man. Hitting me up saying, "Where's your nephew, man? Where's your nephew? We don't want to see your ugly mug. We want to see his pretty face,
Yeah,
bro."
okay. Is it showing? Is
It
my
it,
hair
it,
slow moving
it
up?
is, man. That bald head starting shinier and stuff. Man, it's like, what's up with you? But hey, did you read the episode that was written today about making these decisions and stuff in life?
I did.
Yeah, I mean, come on, talk to me. Let's jump on in here because I just read all that, and I don't know if you knew how this came about, bro. But I woke up at like 3 o'clock. I can't remember what damn I have to ask Tori, but I woke up one day like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what it was. It was I was having a panic attack or something, and I kind of looked over at her, and it's when you start thinking of the love of your life, and that's when it hit me. Every decision I make affects her. You know,
And my
um,
first.
every decision. So that's when I got up that morning because I couldn't sleep, so I just screwed it, got out of bed, and I wrote about it. On Respect the Talk. I said, people, man, people got to wake up and believe this, man, because this is real. This is a real
Yeah,
shit, man. Every single decision you make has a ripple effect that affects someone in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and it's truly like you said, a ripple. Prime example. I came here to Michigan from the Chicagoland area for a job. Um, that affected my wife immediately,
Right. Yeah.
because she obviously came with me. But later on down the line, when my mother-in-law had the stroke, um, my decision to come here still affects that whole dynamic now.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So she's spent the better part of the last year plus in the Chicagoland area taking care of her mom. Um, and when that all first happened, my decision to come here, well, even our decision, because we did kind of discuss it, um, but the decision to come here was first thing on her mind, where she kind of blamed herself for leaving her mom
Yeah.
and being so far away.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why I say, when you think about it, like I said, it's a good decision because every decision you think about, you're like, oh man, this would be a good decision. But then I thought, is it the right decision though? Totally
Yeah,
two different things. Totally two different things. And none of us think about that. None of us think about that. We might say, oh my God, this is a good decision to do this. But we never think down the line, is it the right decision? And it's pretty much what you're talking about, making that move. Yeah, it was a great decision because you got a job out of it and everything else. But was it the right decision, not knowing what her mom's going to go through down the line and how far she's going to be away from you then? So um, those are the two things that you can touch base on. I'm sure everybody can reach out, feel that. I'm sure my producer Brandon could probably jump in and feel something and tell us a story about some of the same things that he did. A good decision or could be a great decision, but is it the right decision?
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know.
Yeah, because a lot of times what I teach my children is this. I say all decisions are not always considerably bad. It's just you have consequences that come with them. So it can be a decision of you maybe you want to go with me somewhere, but then you may want to go with your mom somewhere, or you may want to go with your friend somewhere. But that decision is it's not always bad. You just have to outweigh, okay, would I rather do this or would I rather do this, and then how is it going to affect my loved ones? Is it going to affect my friends if I tell them no, I don't want to go, I want to stay with my parents today. I want
Right.
to do this.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's and then you have, like you said, it you have situations to where it can uh, affect your spouse. Sometimes it won't affect them, based on your decisions and stuff like that. But then at the same time, it can.
Well,
How do they feel? How do they feel about
but
it?
the thing is, it's no matter. My thing when I wrote this is just every decision you make because you are married is going to affect them. I don't care how you slice and dice; it's going to affect them. You know,
Somehow.
I, you know. I mean, you can say, hey, look, I'm gonna get up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, make me a sandwich. Guess what? You're gonna wake your wife up. And she's gonna wonder, is everything okay? So there's a ripple effect to any and everything that's going on. Or like my wife, if I get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, go sleep in the other room, she want to know if I'm okay. Is everything all right? So it's something gonna happen that's gonna keep rolling down the hill. Or the kids, the kids gonna wonder, hey, everything okay? Or hey, I made me a sandwich, and the kids gonna like, hey, can I have one too? It's a
Yeah.
cause and effect. So whatever you do, it's gonna affect something else.
Right. That is true. Yeah. Anything you do will affect positive or negative.
If right,
Right.
if
Yeah.
you're in a family
That's
dynamics, if
true.
you're in a family dynamics, I don't care what it is. If you're sitting there watching the TV, one of the kids or somebody's gonna come in. What are you watching? Hey, can I watch it with you or something? So that might be a great thing, though. I mean, you bringing that family dynamics together. But then there's financial effects that you go out there and you decide to do. And if it hurts, at that time it might be a good decision, but was it the right decision? So then if it hurts the situation, then it rolls downhill on the wife and the kids. Even though, you thought it was a good decision, but was it the right decision?
Yeah, you hear about those all the time when people go to gamble.
Yeah,
You know, that junkie fever that one arm bandit or
right. Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
You go out there and you spend the last family dollar thinking that you're gonna win it all or
yeah.
you're gonna win big, and now you got to go home and explain to the family why they no longer own their house.
Right. Yeah. It was a good decision when you thought about it, but was it the right decision? Absolutely not. So, that was just one of those things that popped up in my head this last week. I think a lot. I don't know why. I do a lot of unnecessary thinking, like at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, especially when I can't sleep. So then I get up and start writing and try to breathe. I don't know, Mustafa or some crap. You know, start write some crazy shit.
Melatonin, man.
Huh?
Melatonin.
Melatonin,
Melatonin.
yeah. I should, because then I can go get me some sleep, and it's crazy. Because here's another topic. We've been talking about this for years. I've been talking about this ever since we actually started this show. I've been telling you about this ever since we started this show. And man, I'm gonna say this to you guys out there. I gotta say it because it's actually refreshing now seeing younger people stepping into politics these days. Yes, we're flipping the topic here, y'all. And I don't care where you land on spectrum, left, right, center, whatever label people want to use these days. That's not even the point. The point is involvement, because this country doesn't move forward if only one generation keeps steering the wheel forever. And yeah, let's be honest, there's a real gap happening right now. You've got long-term leaders still holding on to systems way back in the way back of thinking that were built in a completely different era. But these are new times, new pressures, and new problems for these young folks out here. So when young people get involved, even if you don't agree with them, at least they're in the game. At least they're shaping what comes next instead of just watching it happen. Because if you're not involved in your future, someone else is going to be. And that's the part people miss. Even if things go wrong, even if it's mistakes are made, they're still your mistakes to learn from, not something you inherited without a voice, which is what's happening right now. So yeah, I've been saying this for a while. Get involved, because if you don't be surprised when the future doesn't look anything like what you wanted. And that's what I'm so happy to see all these young people. I mean, people, man, and the parties are going crazy. They try to tag these young kids as man socialists and communists and all this other crap because they don't like what they're thinking, what they're thinking. I mean, it's crazy. But kids, don't let them chase you away from that microphone. Come on.
Absolutely not. My father and I, your brother, just had this conversation recently talking about um my one of my sons. We had a conversation with him, and you know, he felt like his one vote wouldn't change anything. And and that's just on the voting side of it.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
not even talking about actually running
Right.
and getting involved in politics on a deeper side. And we had this conversation. I had the same conversation with all of my sons, all of my children, that your one vote per se doesn't matter. But if you talk about your one vote plus a million other people who feel like you have no say in what comes next.
Right. Exactly. For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, you're absolutely right.
and your one vote not cast counts as two votes for what you don't want.
Right. And that's why these kids. I mean, like I said, I'm happy because I've seen them. They just got this one girl. Yeah, they kids say, here's we were thinking about talking about this today. It was all over anyway. And you think about these young kids. 30 years ago, these kids were born into the internet. You know, so all they know as a young kid, is to post stupid shit on Facebook. I mean, we all did it. I mean, all did it when we were kids. So now what they're doing is they're going back and they're finding it's not anything they said today. It's something they said way back when. Like this one young lady who's running, I can't think of her name right off the top of my head, but she said something about she likes being a communist or something like that. And they went back and drug that up from way back when she was, I don't know, 15 or something stupid, when she was young, dumb, and full of cum or whatever the hell it was, And then now they want to throw that at her and put that all in her face. It's like, man, give me a break. That's what these kids know is the internet, and that's what they grew into. We didn't grow into the internet. They grew into the internet. The internet held past. We came into it, and we're still trying to catch up. I know I am. You're probably a lot better than me on that, but man, I mean, these kids, they were born with a freaking hell. They were born with a cell phone in their hand at 5 years old.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, you look around now, most people are. I like I said, I work in a store, and I see it all day long. Kids as little as one.
Yeah,
That's the new babysitter.
yeah. Little babies, they got a little laptop in their hand or something to keep them
Yep.
entertained or something. So they born with this, and so yeah, they're gonna put on some stupid stuff out there. Don't let them get to you, folks. If you want to be this socialist thing, maybe you can help me out, Jim, because you seem like you're wise and very intelligent young man. Socialism.
Well, I don't necessarily agree, but go ahead.
Talk about socialism, man. We got some time because that's what bugs me. Because you still got these idiots out here talking about woke too, which they don't know what the hell they're talking about woke. But now they trying to classify certain people as socialists. Socialism. I could get. I should have did this. We should get our producer to bring up the definition of socialism. I should have looked that up before I even started this show, because that's a part of this conversation. Socialism, because that's what they're trying to tag these kids with, that are saying, well, they want free. Now, some of this stuff, don't get me wrong, is a little way far fetched. I mean, come on, give me a break. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy talk. But when you think about socialism, it's we all are dealing with social programs. When COVID hit and the government, well, guess what? The government was giving out what? Free money. That's part of socialism. When the government's giving you free money, and that's what it says. The community and the government owns to manage major industries. We don't want that to happen. Natural resource infrastructure to prevent the concentration of wealth and power. We don't want any of that to happen. Equitable distribution, social argues the wealth is super. So I can see that. Corporation over competition, I can see that too. But the first one, public collect, we don't need to be owning jack. But when you think about socialism, and it talks about that as socialism is free this or free something. Everybody in this country has had something free from the government. Everybody. I don't care who it was. I'm sure you got something free from the government at one point in time. You too, right, Jim?
Yeah, of course.
And that to me is what they call
necessarily the major one that everybody's going to seeing two brown faces up here, and that's welfare and public aid and all of that.
right.
But we got roads, we pay our taxes, but in no way, shape, or form are our taxes actually covering all the road repairs.
Right. For sure.
Anybody who owns a home or has worked on a home and had to redo their driveway knows how expensive that can be. So imagine millions of miles of roads.
Right.
So we've all gotten something free somewhere, somehow.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Do I agree with everything they're about? No, I can't agree with that. Will they get everything they're all about passed? Absolutely not. Mayor Mondami over there in New York said he wanted to do a lot of stuff, and he had to back down on it, because he's, just like the Republican Party talk about a bunch of crap and they don't do it. Same thing with Mondami. They're going to say everything they can, to get elected, but they're not going to be able to do it, because saying it and getting in office and doing it is totally two different things.
Well, like you said earlier, though, a lot of people are slinging different terms around that they have no idea what they mean. For the average person, communists, Marxists, socialists are all interchangeable.
Right.
They have no idea what any of those titles actually mean, and all of them are completely different as far as what the true definition is.
Right.
And it's before you start labeling people with stuff like that, you really need to know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, exactly. The core goal of socialism is to reduce wealth inequality and ensure goods and services are distributed based on human need rather than profit. And that's where even healthcare should be free. I'm sorry. I don't care what nobody say. Healthcare is our right. We should not, it is not a privilege. It's that we got to sit there and pay $1,000 a month to make sure we're healthy. That should be our right. I mean, and this is ridiculous. And that's all about being greedy and money there. And that because all these other countries got people complaining because bitch about all these other countries and their healthcare system. I'm sorry. I think ours suck. I really do because I've seen other people's healthcare systems because I've been in a bunch of other countries and I've seen them work, and they're not as bad as this government keeps trying to make it seem. They're not as bad as some of these people running around here running their mouth that never been into another country, never even been out of the United States, trying to make it seem like it's that bad. It is not quite that bad. Healthcare should be our right to get it. Now, it is our right that the hospital cannot turn you away if you don't have insurance. They have to take care of you. But at what
if you go to the ER,
right. But guess what? You're still gonna get a bill.
Yeah, you're gonna get a bill. And see, that's the other part of that argument that you're talking about. Free healthcare, free education. Those are things that you and I agree on. Those should be free.
Yeah.
This whole capitalistic system, when it comes to those two things in particular, are so wrong.
Yeah.
They've done so many studies. We spend more as a country on trying to cure the sick that had to wait until they were desperately sick to go to the ER,
right,
to get bills that they're not paying for, than we would if we paid for healthcare for everybody,
right,
and they were able to maintain a healthy lifestyle and get regular checkups to prevent some of those major illnesses that come up.
right. Which is what with free healthcare would provide people that opportunity to catch these things before they get deathly ill. And the problem is, I've seen so many people back in the day. This is probably before your time. Going to the hospital, wind up with these huge hospital bills and wind up going bankruptcy because they can't pay it. So yeah, they got out of debt, but now what do they have? They got a bankruptcy on their credit report, and now they can't, now their credit screwed. This whole it's like a vicious cycle. The way this government is set up for the poor to stay poor, and I hate that. I mean, you have to be really a lucky person to be a poor person and pull yourself up by the bootstraps to be even middle class. It's really hard. I mean, it's extremely hard for that to happen.
Exactly.
So, and it shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way. Now, if people want to be lazy and be poor, that's on them. But this government, this country needs to give people that opportunity and a chance, and they don't do it. You have all these people, and I know a bunch of them, I don't know if you do, that went to college and got a degree, and they spent all this money on college to come out and cannot find a job in their field. So now they're bagging groceries or doing something stupid just so they can pay their college tuition to their debt. Now that I think is freaking asinine.
Or just imagine, how many people out there are brilliant and couldn't go to higher education,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we've lost what they could have offered our community, our world.
Right. Yeah.
You know, how many people out there, for everyone that did go to college and now has that college debt that you're speaking of, is there's somebody out there, there's probably two or three out there who couldn't afford to go to college, who had a lot to offer this
Right.
world.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times could we have possibly cured cancer
Right. Yeah.
with
Exactly.
somebody who couldn't go to school?
Yeah. For sure.
You know, and yeah, there's social programs out there to help people get into school, but quite often those programs are limited, they're hard to get into, and or they don't provide the correct path for a person.
Right.
For example, I may be able to, here in Michigan, from what I understand, if you go to school here, you get free education at the local community college. But what if your local community college or your local state-sponsored college doesn't offer um, a medical program that specializes in oncology?
Right.
So yeah, you can get some free education, but
It's not in the field you want.
exactly, it's not in the field you want. It's not in the field that you have a passion for. It may not even be the right field for you.
Right. Yeah. So now you're just taking courses just to take courses.
Yeah.
You know, which is and it's sad, you know, people.
With a degree for underwater basket weaving.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, it blows my mind that this country and people fight about it because what they want to do is say that's socialism. You know, if that dude would give people free health care and free education, I do not see that as socialism. I see that both of those are our right to do. Those are our right to have. They're not privileged. It should not be a privilege to go to college. That should be our right to be able to go to college. If that is your dream, your desire to do that, you should be able to do that and not have to worry about coming out of there $300,000 in debt.
And it's a win-win.
But
you know, a higher level of education across the board, across the country, will allow for more advances within the country.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't know. I don't know what it's like there in Michigan, but I know down here, almost everywhere you go, when you go to a doctor's office, they're not from here. They got their education up there from overseas or somewhere, you know, and they're very good doctors, but they were in those countries that they're from had, guess what? Free education. They got Indian, you know, the not what they call those, not Indians, but I can't think what anyway. But you know, they're doctors down here. They got people from all nationalities down here in Florida, here in Southwest Florida, and they doctors and nurses and everything. And you know, where did they get their education from? From somewhere that had free education.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so,
like I said, it's not, and it's the medical field, it's the sciences, it's the arts. To achieve the levels that improve our overall country levels require education in most cases.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You know, there's only so much you can learn. The internet is a vast body of work,
right,
of education,
right,
of knowledge. But quite often, people need someone to help explain to them, okay, yes, you can look up a diode, you can look up what a diode is, but having somebody there hands-on showing you, okay, but this is how you place that diode, talking electronics.
Right, right.
The same thing with engineering, any type of engineering.
Yeah.
You know, you can look up anything you want to on the internet, but that's not the same thing as having that classroom time
Right.
where
Yeah.
hands-on, one-on-one,
Yep.
somebody showing
Exactly. Yeah.
you, you know.
Yep, you're correct, bro. You're correct. Hey, let's take a quick break here. Folks, we'll stick around. We got more coming at you. Respect to talk here on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. It's 5:30 right now. We'll see you in 2 and 2. Be right back, y'all. Hi, folks. This is Jerry B from Pride and Glory Travel. Hey, we got our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise going out November 29th, where we're stopping at Nassau, Cook Bahamas, Coco Cay, and Falmouth, Jamaica. This is going to be one cruise to remember. Why? Because it's our Wild Hogs and Bikers cruise, where we have our own leather and lace karaoke contest. You guys come on. You don't have to be a biker to go. You don't need to wear leather and lace to be a part of the cruise. Just come have some fun with us this holiday season. Also, we have a great duo show going on called the Dooley Brothers Entertainment. That's me and my brother from Tomorrow's People. We're going to be rocking the house for you at a private concert just for you guys. We got a miniature golf tournament going on. So, folks, come join the fun. We got prices starting at $747 per person. That is just $747 per person for a 7-day beautiful cruise. Pick up the phone. Get your rooms booked. Call 920-265-8143. That's Jerry B. That's me. 920-265-8143. And come, we'll see you at sea, y'all. All right, folks, we're back. Like we said here, segments. We like to do these segments here for you guys to get you abreast on what's going on. Okay, here's what we want to talk about here too. Okay, now mind you, every time we talk, we bring these topics up. It's something that you probably seen on Respect to Talk page, and you can always read that and then dial in and come on in here as a guest and jump in on the conversation with me and my nephew. We'd love to have you, no matter what. But let's talk about American truth and contradictions. Okay, let's talk real for a second, John. You ever notice how people from other countries come here and are just amazed by the simplest things? It's been all over the news, y'all. It's been all over the news. Like they're falling in love with stuff we don't even think twice about. Ranch dressing, the Waffle House, things Americans treat like background noise. And in a way that says a lot. These countries, this country is incredible in a lot of ways. But here's the flip side. I mean, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We can also acknowledge its complications, deeply complicated. And I think what gets lost in the noise is that two things can be true at the same time. You can love America and still question what it's doing. You can be proud of it and still be disappointed in it. That's not betrayal, everybody. That's not betrayal. That's awareness. Because disagreement with government isn't automatically un American. If anything, that's part of what this whole thing was built on. But let's also be clear there's a difference between protest and destruction. There's a difference between expressing frustration and trying to stop the democratic process itself. That line matters. And as we head towards celebrating 250 years of America, that celebration should come with reflection too. Not just a highlight reel, but the full story. The full story, you guys. The Native American history, the legacy of slavery, the treatment of black communities, all of it has to be a part of the conversation if we're really being honest about who we are. It's like celebrating a 21st person's birthday. You don't just toast the present, you remember everything that got them there, the good, the bad, and the lessons. And if we ignore that history, we risk repeating parts of it like we're doing right now today. I see it coming. That's not theory, folks. That's pattern recognition. So, yeah, celebrate the country, but don't erase the parts that made it what it is, okay? Come on, James, talk to me because I know you got a lot to say about this topic.
That is so true, man. Like we said a couple of weeks ago, I'm proud to be an American. However, I'm not always proud of what America has done. Um, you mentioned um, three points right there already with uh, slavery, the treatment of the indigenous people, its original people, and the treatment of not only the blacks but all minorities.
Right. Yeah.
You know, we as a nation have a lot to be proud of,
Right. Yeah.
and celebrating the birth of this country, um, the first moon landing, you know, the 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 creation of the light bulb and the internet and all that stuff is great, but kind of like works without deeds or words without deeds is horrible.
Right. Yeah.
Um, we have made some mistakes along the way, and quite often I feel that this current administration loves that fact because they're able to pull the wool over so many people's eyes because they don't know their history and they don't see those patterns that you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why, people, why are you so angry? Well, and I try to explain to people, because I lived this picture before. I was born at a time where I lived this picture before. You might not see it because you didn't live it, but I see where this is heading. And yes, it bothers me because I don't like it. But that's why I want the young kids to get involved because they're shaping this country for you guys, which is not a good look. Here, think about this. And that's why I keep telling young people to get involved. Young people have no problem with a black person marrying a white person, mixed racial relationships. They don't. They just don't care. Their friends are dating mixed friendships. All the young people, I mean, that is their world. But you talk to these old people, and that's like like a faux pas. They don't like that idea. They don't want to see that happening. So they're trying to do everything to destroy it because, oh my God, we're not gonna we're gonna be white people gonna be the minorities now, not majorities anymore. So they so worried about you losing that majority, like it's so bad, you know. And the young people, they couldn't care less. They just want people to be in love and have fun. They don't care who you're dating. Most of them that I know. I mean, you're gonna have your few nuts out here, but very few. But most of these young kids out here, and I've watched them. Hell, my daughter's dating a white guy. I mean, most of these people you find love. That's what they care about. And the same thing with gays and lesbians. Most of these kids got gay and lesbian friends. So no matter how you might not like it, it's their time and they don't have a problem with it. So this is their time. So that's why I want them to get involved because they need to shape this narrative and not let all these old farts in Washington try to shape the narrative for them in the type of world that they want the kids to have tomorrow. Because it's not their world to live in. You know what I mean? You
Exactly.
get what I'm saying?
What you're talking about is progress.
Yeah, it is. It's progress. It's progression. And it was so heartwarming. Me and Tori, went and looked at well, we actually signed a thing, but we went and got toured this gated community today. And the ambassador that gave us the tour, he kept saying, well, yeah, me and my partner. So at the end of the tour, we was like with him for 2 hours. So at the end of the tour, I looked at him. I said, "So you're not married?" He said, "No." I said, "You keep saying partner." He said, "Yeah, I'm dating man." I'm like, "Dude." He said, "Dude, I'm good with that though, man. I don't have an issue with that." And he was the nicest guy in the world. And he said, "I figured that with you and your wife because I could see you guys are just amazing people." And I said, "Dude, we don't have a problem with that. That is the way of the world." As Earth, Wind, and Fire would say, that's the way of the world. So it's just, it is what it is. He didn't hit on me, so I don't give a shit what he does in this living room. That's his thing. And that I've been like that same thing with these women out here that want to have abortions. It ain't my body. I don't give a shit. More to the point, some of you damn women shouldn't be having kids out there. That's a natural fact. So for us men to tell women what to do with their bodies, it's just, I think it's crazy. And the thing is, young kids, these young people don't care about that either. It's all the older people that has issues with shit. It's not the younger people. It's always the older people got issues with everything in life, because it doesn't fit their 1940s mentality or 1950s mentality. But they don't want to progress. They don't want the world to progress. They tried to, if you remember back in the day, they tried to stop rap. They was taking rappers to court like they were going out of water. You remember those days?
Mhm. Quite well, quite well. And now rappers, the main music played on almost every station.
And the football games and stuff. You hear that? I mean, hell, NWA was in court so many damn times it's ridiculous because they talk about shooting the police and shit. Talking about they had
Mhm.
to write illicit something on the albums and something. It was crazy. But this country does not like progression if it doesn't fit their narrative. And that's the issue. If it doesn't fit their narrative of what they want. And it's always the older clientele trying to tell the younger clientele how their country should look like.
And that's why I love human nature, because people want to be part of a group, and at the same time, they don't want change at all.
Right.
So it to me, that's an odd
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
And you want to be part of a group, so you want everybody to have something in common with you, but at the same time, you don't want everybody to have something in common with everybody else.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's crazy. It's a stupid cycle, bro. It's really crazy, man. Hey, let's talk about something else here. TPS, immigration and human reality. Now I thought about this for real hard. This happened last week. And it took me 2 days to respond and write something about this because it really, I'm thinking to myself, how do I feel about this? And we're going to talk about the Haitians because the whole conversation around temporary protection status, TPS, in case you guys didn't know what that is, it's heavy. It's really heavy because TPS was always meant to be temporary. That part is clear. But the reality on the ground, that's where it gets complicated. You've got people from Haiti who came here under extreme conditions, earthquakes, instability, violence back home. I remember all those. And now the question becomes, what happens when the temporary stretches into years of someone building a life here? That's not a simple answer. And honestly, part of why this feels so charged is the way the conversation has been handled publicly over time. The language, the tone, where that's where that's coming from, the framing. It all matters because once people feel targeted or reduced, the whole discussion shifts from policy to identity. And that's where things get tense. Because at the end of the day, we can talk policy all day long, but we also have to talk about people, real lives, real families. And yeah, TPS is TPS, but humanity doesn't turn off when paperwork changes. There are also broader conversations here about what we accept in a culture versus what we reject. Because let's be honest, what one country considers normal, another might see completely different. But none of that changes the fact that people are trying to survive decisions made far above their heads. So I'll say this: whatever your stance is, I hope there's still room for empathy in it. Because if we lose that, we lose the point of the conversation altogether. And for everyone affected by all of this, you're seen, you're heard, and I genuinely wish you the best moving forward. God bless. Hey, before I let you go though, we're going to talk about this because this this really took a lot. It took a hard thing when the Supreme Court came back and said that they had to leave, but and I'm like, oh, so now he's picking on Haitians again, eating the cats and dogs and all this other crap. But then I thought, wait a minute, TPS means temporary protection. That means you don't get to stay here forever. So it's like, so now you're I don't know, juggling a ball. How do you fix that in your head? Because Haiti is still horrible. I don't know if you know that, but Haiti is a horrible, horrible, horrible place. Hell, they killed their president. And the gangs are overrunning the streets over there right now still. So how do you fit in your head to say, well, send them back? They've been here too long, and put them in danger, as opposed to, because they got temporary TPS, temporary protection status. But when does that end? At the same token, think to yourself, well, when does this end? And then I start thinking, wait a minute, that happened, that earthquake happened 15, 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look that up. Maybe the producer could look that up. But that happened like 15, 20 years ago, something like that, when they all came over here. And it was a horrible earthquake. I don't know if you remember that. You would think, well, look, if you've been here that long, you should have went and tried to get your uh, go from protection status to American status, and became an American citizen by then. So then I started thinking, what the hell? Yeah, 2010. So yeah, it was that's what 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. So I mean, if you have 15 years to become an American citizen and get out of protection status situation, and you didn't. So now who's at fault? So then I started thinking, well, that's your fault because you could have fixed that problem. Why didn't you? So then I had to think to myself, anyway, come on, jump on here, James. Talk to me, man. I'm talking too much. Jump.
Well, to answer your question, I think of when does protected status end? If it is because of um, dangers in a homeland country, then when the danger is over.
Yeah, but that could be never, and I think that's what
Exactly.
right, and that I think that's what
Exactly.
Congress, if they're going to do something, then maybe they should say, okay, we're going to start not now, but from now on, when we do a TPS, put an end date on it. Put a 5-year end date on it or something like that. That way, then after that time, yeah, they got to go back home because there's an expiration date to it. But because you left it wide open, which is what my thought was too, what you said there, is when the danger ends. Well, the danger is still there in Haiti. So that's why you let them here. So it's like, then they should still stay here then.
And here's my thing. As you and a lot of our regular viewers know, I'm a veteran.
Right.
I served in the U.S. Navy.
Yep.
Aboard an aircraft carrier.
Yes, sir.
While out in the middle of the ocean doing drills, big circles, we came across basically inner tube life or inner tube raft.
Right.
A giant truck tire inner tube that had a group of Haitians on it floating in the middle of the ocean. Now, I was in the military back in 91 to 95.
Right.
So this is pre-earthquake.
Right. Yeah.
So things would have to be pretty bad for me to risk my family in a inner tube. No way to steer it, no way to propel it.
Right.
Just in hopes of landing someplace safe.
Yeah.
Think about how bad things would have to be for you to put your family or yourself at that kind of risk.
Right. Yeah.
How bad things would have to be and how desperate you would have to be.
And it's bad. I've been to Haiti once on a cruise ship, right? That's when they had cruise ships going. They stopped that shit since then because it was getting too bad over there. I think I was actually on the last cruise that was over there. Yeah, because it was getting so bad over there. And that was before the earthquake. But it was getting so bad over there that they stopped sending any cruise ships over there. And it never got any better. It's always been bad. And because the government is corrupt, and which is why they killed the president, the last president they got. Every time they get a president, they damn near take him out. I don't know what the answer to that situation is.
And
We know.
and just to shed a little bit of light on it, people need to do a little bit of history on Haiti because at one point Haiti was a flourishing country.
Oh my lord! Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
They were a flourishing country, and America had a lot to do with its demise.
Yeah, yeah, because we want a different
So,
government in
how,
there.
how much how much responsibility do we have to these people
Well, you know what?
generations later?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's the same thing with Iran. People, they go back to 47 years, but they don't want to go back to 50, 100 years or 70 years. They just want to stop at 47. And same thing with Haiti. They don't realize what the U.S. did back in that day to get Haiti in the condition it is today, nor do they want to try to fix it. And Haiti's got some riches over there in that land. It's just we don't know how to go about getting it because it's too dangerous over there. And you can't put American boots on the ground. So I mean, America tried to give them money. I remember that they tried to give them money and food and everything. And what did the government do? The government kept it, and they didn't give it to the downstream to the people that live there, which is why they keep uproaring because they always got corrupt government there. And I used to always say, well, why don't the United States just go in and take them out, put it into a better government because they're the ones who started this crap in the first place, putting in the wrong government.
Yeah, but that goes back to our first segment, that whole ripple effect.
Right.
You put in um, a government that is sympathetic to you, but then all of a sudden, when that government starts getting uh, ideas of more grandeur, it, uh, who is it? I want to say it was that's our situation with Iran.
Yeah.
You know, the English wanted, or the French wanted the land for the oil reserves there because Iran had nothing. They didn't care about the oil part of it. They weren't. And then all of a sudden, the new regime says, but wait a minute, we can have our own money.
Right. Right.
And now
Exactly.
all of a sudden, we want them out.
Yeah.
So the whole TPS thing, like you said, it boils down to people.
Right.
Um, and I think a lot of them come here with plans on going back when things settle down, or uh, expecting someone to eventually say, "Hey, you need to pick a side," type deal.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, you know, probably much like myself, I can go back when things get better. And
Right.
if things never get better, then I don't go back.
Right. Yeah.
And as far as facing legal status, um, we know how that went because this whole ICE thing, how many people were pulled out of court trying to get their legal status.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying they had years of that before that even happened, and these are the things I get off. I get mad at all our presidents because I don't think any of them really took the time to strengthen uh, the status of legal immigrants. They use it as a punch bowl every freaking year, and they've been complaining about Mexicans being over here for I don't know 30 years now. And the border being open. And maybe even 40 years. Which means that's a lot of presidents, and nobody fixed the border, Democrats and Republicans, and all they do is use it as a punching bag every election. To punch out the Mexicans and make them look like they're they're gonna be the savior, and then they get in and don't do a damn thing to fix the border, and all they do is treat them inhumanely. Even though Barack Obama, he did it humanely. At least he didn't treat them like this guy is doing.
Right. That's because with Obama, there was a tactical plan to target those who were the criminals,
Right. Well,
the criminal
yeah.
element.
And that's what I say. I don't have an issue with with the Haiti thing. I don't have an issue with them being here, but the problem with them because I've seen a lot of them on TV complaining and crying because now they can't get jobs because they're not supposed to be hired again. So I guess it's like, well, how are they going to make a living? So they're trying to force them to go back home. And I just look at this and I'm like, how am I supposed to feel about that? Because guess what? You are on a temporary protection status. It's not like you're legal or full-time resident. I mean, that's what your card says. TPS, temporary protection status, which means they can throw your ass out of here anytime they feel like it. And unfortunately, that's what they're doing. So, how do I feel about that? I don't know. I mean, you know,
Well, let's put it in different terms. Let's say that you took in a foster child as a 3-year-old because mom and dad were abusing you.
right.
What point do you turn your back on them and say, "Oh, go back to them"?
Well, you don't do that. I mean, that's just something
Exactly.
you don't
My
do.
point. My point.
Right.
There's zero difference.
Right. That's something you don't do. But like I said, that's something I was just struggling with, because I know Haiti is still horrible right now. I think it is a horrible, horrible, horrible place to be right now, and it hasn't changed. So now you're trying to send all these people back and put them in harm's way where they're going to get raped and murdered and killed. And so it's basically you're sending them to their execution. So yeah, then my heart bleeds for them because it's not right. But again, this administration that doesn't have a heart.
Exactly.
Thank God the
But
Supreme Court.
that's
Go ahead. I'm
that
sorry.
is why we need new, younger blood in office.
Because the younger people wouldn't care. That is my point. The younger people, if they were in office, they wouldn't give a crack about the Haitians being here. Now, if you're a bad Haitians, yeah, they would. But if you're a good person, a Haitian, Mexican, Chinese, I don't care what, they wouldn't care. They're going to open their arms and look because they just want to party and hang out. That's what the younger people do. So you need to get younger people because all these old farts that are in office trying to tell these younger people how they're going to live their life and structure their world. It's like, it drives me nuts. And yeah, I'm an old fart, but not like these old farts down there in Washington. I at least
Exactly.
got a heart and I got a brain, and these people got neither. So it's just sad, man. It's sad. So. But I hope you
And
had a
now
good conversation with me today.
I did.
Good
And
topics.
I hate that we didn't get to America 250. And
We're going to talk about that next week because I want to see what the hell going to go happen this weekend. Because he's taking over the 250, so we're gonna have a lot to talk about on America 250 next week. I can
well,
guarantee you. Yeah.
he already took over it. That's the whole reason why it flopped so far.
Well, I know that, but I mean, he's planning a rally on the 4th of July. So I'm like, this is just crazy, and he's mad at the Supreme Court now. So I can see what's going to happen here because he's pissed off because the Supreme Court issued him. They gave him a win, but they gave him a couple of horrible losses. So yeah, he's going to be having a temper tantrum on America 250, and that's going to be something to talk about next week for sure. So I can guarantee you we'll be on that next week, my friend. We'll definitely be on it. Because I'm going to be asking if you celebrate it too, what you do.
Uh, I can already tell you. My plans are to be sitting here at home, chilling, maybe going out to see some fireworks if I can catch it.
Well, guess what? That's the same plans as mine. I have none. I'm actually got off all week. I did 4 shows last week, and I'm off this week all the way through the 4th. So I'm going to try to enjoy this moment and get some stuff done around the house here, period. So.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll take the bike out. Yeah.
On the grill.
Yep. Who knows? Maybe I'll do something crazy. But hey, man, well, it's always good to talk to you, nephew. You know that, man. And had to get your pops. You're not getting with your pops this weekend.
Nah. I gotta work. I'm off Friday, Saturday, but then I gotta be right back Sunday. Going there overnight, that 5 hour ride each way is just
Yeah.
that's
That's a
brutal.
haul, bro. I know that's a haul. I'm gonna have to give them a call to see what they up to, and see how they're doing. But we'll talk to them soon. So, how's the wifey doing,
He
Kiki?
tried to call during the show, so I'll let you know later.
She tried to call during the show.
Yeah.
Tell her what the
Yeah.
hell. If it ain't an emergency, she shouldn't be calling during the show.
Man, every week she's like, "Well, the time difference, I forget."
Tell her,
And
tell her to play that song, Don't Disturb This Groove. Yeah, tell her Jerry said, play that song, Don't Disturb This Groove. Get your groove on. Tell her put it on and turn it up real high. Pay attention. Now listen. Hey, man, I'm going to let you go, man. God bless you, man. Take care, man. Love you, man. Always. And I'm going to be calling your pops real soon, man. God, take care.
All right, now.
Bye,
Love y'all.
Welcome to Respect the Talk with Jerry B.
Respect